left.
Oh, clap it.
Okay, Baruch Hashem.
Wait, the mic, Rabbi, 1 second to the mic.
We're starting Daf Lamed Zayin. We're going to start on the bottom of Daf Lamed Vav Amud Bet. The Gemara says Gufa. We learned before. Ravu Shmuel da Amri Tarvayu. Rav and Shmuel have a statement. Kol sheyesh bo mechameshet aminim. Anything that has one of the 5 minim, we barley, oats, rice, spelt. Mivarchin alav bore mine mezonot. You make bore mine mezonot. Ve'it marnami. And we also learned Ravu Shmuel da Amri Tarvayu. Kol shehu mechameshet aminim. Anything that's made of chamesh taminim, it's not a mixture. It's all chamesh taminim. Mivarchin alav bore mine mezonot. We said this one right before. It was the last statement, right, by Habitz Kedera. Says the Gemara v'tzricha. What do I need 2 statements? They seem very similar. Kol sheyesh bo and kol shehu. Says the Gemara v'tzricha. Each one is coming for a different point. Diyashmin and kol shehu. If you tell me anything which is hamish taminim, you make bore minim mezonot. Hava amina, I would say mishum di'ita be'ineh. The reason why you make a mezonot on it is only because it's chamesh taminim. It's burgol. It's all cooked. What's called? It's all aval al yedeh ta'arovet. But if you mix it with other things, lo, I might say that it doesn't. It's not mezonot. Kama,
It's absorbed into a soup.
not whatever it is.
See the actual grains.
It's you see the grains. Now let's not get complicated. It's mixed with other things, right? Kamash, but no, it's talking. It's mixed with something else. It's a mushroom barley soup, or it has flour mixed into a sauce, depending on the case. Kol sheyesh bo v'yash, or like we had the case right before. You had the case of the chavitz kedera that has a lot of honey in it, but as long as the daisa is there for taste, we say you make bore minim mezonot. V'yash mo'inan kol sheyesh bo. If you're going to tell me anything that has kol sheyesh bo, so anything that has, even if it's a mixture, you make bore minim mezonot, right? V'yash mo'inan. If you would only tell me kol sheyesh bo, so now there's 2 parts. There's the kol, and then there's chamesh taminim. Kol is telling me what it is. Chamesh taminim is telling me only these 5 types and nothing else, right? So we say v'yash minan kol sheyesh bo hava mina. I might think kol sheyesh bo chamesh taminim in. If it has the chamesh taminim, you make it aval ores v'dohan lo, right? Chamesh taminim is coming to tell me these 5 are called mazon. Other types are not called mazon. Why? Why is ores? Rashi actually says ores is meal. Rashi translates ores as millet, and dochan as panitz, which is fanag. I don't know exactly what that is. Tosafot says Rashi piresh ores meal, v'yesh mefarshim rizo. What does that sound like? Rice. Orzo is pasta. V'yesh mefarshim rizo, riz. V'lahai pirusha yesh lefaresh de dohan hu millet. So that everybody holds like Tosfot pretty much. Sfaradim for sure. Ashkenazim they make trouble, but the Sfaradim, ores is meal, ores is rice, and millet is meal. Dohan is millet, and that's mikubal. Sfaradim ate rice always. They always had rice. Ashkenazim they don't always have it, so therefore some of them get. They're not sure about the definitions. They make a safek. Says the Gemara, "Val ores ve'dohan lo." But ores and dohan, you'll say that you don't make mizonot. That's what hameshet is coming from. 5 and not 6, not 7, not ores and dohan. If you would only tell me kol sheyesh bo, anything that has chamesh taminim, you'll tell me, yeah. The reason why you don't make a mizonot is because it's not pure ores. It's ores mixed with something else. But if it will be pure ores, I would make a mizonot on it. Right? Aval ita be'eneh. Name afilu ores ve'dohan nami mevarchim ala bore minim mezonot. Kamash malan. Therefore, Rav and Shmuel told us, kol shehu mechamesh taminim. Anything which is purely hamesh taminim, hu de mevarchin ala bore minim mezonot. La'afuke ores ve'dohan, as opposed to rice and millet. The afilu ita be'eneh, even if it's pure rice and pure millet, lo mevarchinan bore minim mezonot. So the statement of Kol Sheyesh Bo is almost more of an inclusive statement. It's coming to tell you that all the Hamesh Taminim, even if they mix with other things, you still make mizonot on them, right? And then when it says Kol Shu Hamesh Taminim, is an exclusive statement saying the Hamesh Taminim is mizonot and nothing else is mizonot. It's said positive, but it's really a negative statement, right? It's really coming to tell you Orez and Dohan no. Says the Gemara, Ve'orez ve'dohan lo mevarchinam borei min mizonot ve'hatanya we learned heviu lefanav pat orez if they brought in front of him rice bread upat dohan and millet bread mivarech alav tehila vasof he makes a beracha before and after k'maaseh kedera like porridge. You know the three little bears, they had porridge. Right? He wasn't there for that. Right? They had no, they have it's like oatmeal or farina. It's right, mamuniya, right. Kimaz. So now on that you make mizonot. Mevarchim alav tehila vasof k'maaseh kedera. You make beracha before and after like maaseh kedera. Maaseh kedera, the beracha before is mizonot. The beracha afterwards is ala mechia. If the beracha before and after is mizonot and ala mechia, so you would assume that orez is also mizonot and ala mechia. Right? Doesn't make a difference. Rav and Shmuel don't care. Right? V'gab ma'aseh kedera tanya, mevarech betchila mevarech ala borei min mizonot, ulbasov mevarech alav beracha achat me'en shalosh. You got to get that definition straight. Me'en shalosh means ala mechia, because it's a miniaturized version of Birkat HaMazon. Birkat HaMazon is 3 berachot. Ala mechia is 1 beracha with the themes of all 3 berachot. So you see, just like maaseh kedera is mizonot and ala mechia, so to rice should be mizonot and ala mechia, and it's a tiyuvta to Rav and Shmuel. Says Gemara, no, you're misunderstanding. Ki maaseh kedera velo ki maaseh kedera. It's like maaseh kedera, but not 100%. Ki maaseh kedera de mevarchin alav tehila vasof. It needs a beracha before and a beracha after. Velo ki maaseh kedera, deilu be maaseh kedera betchila borei min mezonot ulbasof beracha cha me'en shalosh. Ve'ilu hacha by rice. בתחילה מברך עליו שהכל נהיה בדברו, ולבסוף בורא נפשות רבות. What doesn't have that beracha after? So no. The truth is, it's a very good question. What would you think? Why would you think it doesn't have a beracha harona? But in the Mishnah it doesn't say that. In the Mishnah on Daf Mem Gimal, the Gemara discusses. Oh, sorry, it's on Mem Dalid. The Gemara says, Amar Rav Yitzchak on the top of Mem Dalid Amud Bet. Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Avdimi Mishum Rabenu ala be'a va'almine kufra on eggs and meat. Betchila mevarech she'akol ulbasof borei nefashot rabot. Aval yarka lo. But on vegetables you don't make borei nefashot. Why? Because it doesn't come from a nefesh. Betzim come from a nefesh, right? From a chicken. Meat comes from a nefesh. Borei nefashot rabot. But on vegetables, no borei nefashot.
Where the nefashot rabot and the chesronam is the food.
Rabbi Yitzchak amar afilu yarka. Even vegetables. Aval maya lo. Rav Papa amar afilu maya. Morzutra avid ke Rav Yitzchak bar Avdimi. Rav Simi bar Ashi avid ke Rav Yitzchak. V'simanecha had ketre v'tre kehad. Amar Rav Ashi, Ana, Zibna dikimit karna avidna kikulu. When I remember, I do them all. So it seems like the original takana of the borei nefashot was really only on nefashot, and then it was expanded to be on everything. So, but for some reason, according to this explanation in the Gemara, even originally rice, because of its hashivut, was included in borei nefashot. Whatever. Why are you saying shakol? It's not a good question. At least maybe make a borei pri adama. I don't know why shakol, but it's not mizonot. Maybe because it was changed at that point, and it's not hashuv, so it's considered a shakol. No, it's not rice cooked. It's pat ores. Pat ores. Says the Gemara. ואילו אחא בתחילה מברך עליו שהכל נהיה בדברו, ולבסוף בורא מפשר רבו וחסרונן. And when you get a chance, you look at the Tosfot, he explains the pshat in the beracha. Al kol ma shebarata. It says, "Ve'orez lav ma'aseh kederahu." Orez is not ma'aseh kedera, meaning orez. Forget about it. Orez should be included in the definition of ma'aseh kedera. Why is it not included in that definition? Ve'hatanya, we'll have a braita. Eluhen ma'aseh kedera. This is considered ma'aseh kedera. Hilka targis, solid they take out. Zariz ve'arsan ve'orez. So all these other things, chilka, targis, zariz, and arsan, are wheat that's divided into 2, 3, 4, and 5 parts. Right? You have cracked wheat. So you have cracked wheat 1 into 2, cracked wheat 1 into 3, cracked wheat 1 into 4, cracked wheat 1 into 5. Right? And then you have what's it called? Then you have orez. Orez is ma'aseh kedera. So if you have a rice porridge, that's ma'aseh kedera. Even rice, ma'aseh kedera. Says the Gemara, no, don't bring your ayah. That's not a question on Rav and Shmuel. Why Rav and Shmuel say that you make shahakol is not a question. Hamani, Rabbi Yochanan ben Urihi. There is one Tana that upgrades rice to being like the Hamesh Min Dagan. The Tanya, Rabbi Yochanan ben Uri Omer, Orez min Daganhu. Rice is a type of grain. V'hayavin al himutzo karet. If you eat rice on Pesach, you chayav karet. Ve'adam yotze bo yedei chavato bePesach. And you could be, if you make rice matzah, you could be yotze yedei chavah. He holds that rice comes to hametz. The Chachamim disagree. The Chachamim say that rice is not really chametz. It's not when it comes big. It's not hametz. It's sirhon. It's just expanding. It's like that. It's fermentation. Aval Rabbanan lo, but the Chachamim disagree. The Chachamim say rice is not from Hamesh Minei Dagan, and therefore it's not part of the Mizonot type family. It's not part of the Hamesh Minei Dagan. There's not Shisha Minei Dagan. There's Hamisha Minei Dagan. V'Rabbanan lo, you're telling me that the Chachamim don't agree? V'Hatanya, we learned Hakoses et Achita. If somebody's chewing wheat raw, look in Rashi. Rashi tells us Koses kemot shehi. It's chewing it plain. Right? Hakoses et Achita. If you chew wheat, mevarech alea bore peri ha'adama. Even though wheat is mizonot, that's only when it was processed and become hashuv. Just plain wheat, bore peri ha'adama. Tahana, he ground it. Afa'ah, he baked it. Ubishela, and then he took the bread and he cooked the bread. Bisman shapirusot kayamot, if the pieces are still in existence. So Rashi says sheloni mohu bebishulan, that they didn't melt when you were cooking them. Tosfot on Amud Bet quotes the Yerushalmi that says pirusot kayamot means the pieces are bigger than a kazait. And a pirusot kayamot, pieces less than a kazait. Either way, it's not. Yeah. Okay.
He just said tahna, so how is it bigger than a kazait?
There's two what's it called? There's different explanations. Let's go. En a pirusot kayamot. If the pirusot are kayamot, then you make hamotzi ulbasoch mevarech alea shalosh berachot. Ena pirusot kayamot. If the pieces are not in existence, they broke down. Betchila mevarech alea bore mine mezonot. In the beginning, you make mezonot. Ulbasof, and in the end, mevarech alea beracha achat me'en shalosh. Then you make ala mechia. That's by wheat. It's not for our question. It's not nogea. You have to remember it for Amud Bet. Hakoses et ha'orez. This is what we need. If someone's chewing rice, mevarech alea bore pri adama. You make borei pri adama. Tahano, if he ground it. Afa'o, then he baked it. Ubishelo, and then he cooked the rice bread. Afal pisha pirusot kayamot, even though the pieces are still there. Betechila mevarech alea borei mine mezonot. Ulbasov mevarech alea beracha hamein shalosh. So here you see, the Braita says that on rice bread you're making mezonot. Now, how did we escape from the mezonot of rice last time? We said it's Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, right? So he says, Mani, who's the author of this Braita? Ilay Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. If it's Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, Damar Orez min daganhu, hamotzi lechem min haaretz v'shalosh berachot ba'ay bruche. It should be the same as wheat. Perusot kayamot, you should make hamotzi. El alav Rabbanan. They hold that orders is not on the level of the Hamesh Emine Dagan. And if so, even though it's the Chachamim, it's still mezonot. V'tiyufta derav u'shmuel tiyufta. We disprove Rav and Shmuel. But we're only disproving one statement. Which statement? Kol shehu. You're right, this is the same, but... right, we only disproved orders. We're disproving kol shehu. It's not true. Chutz min orders is not true. Now, whether it's only orders or dohan also is a machloket rishonim. The Rif and the Rambam both hold only orders was disproved. Dohan is still adama or shakol, and the what's it called? And the Rabbeinu Yonah says orders was disproved, and once you disproved orders, dohan was disproved, and any Rabbeinu Yonah goes so far as to say any grain that's commonly used limazon would be corn. So according, we don't hold like Rabbeinu Yonah, but according to Rabbeinu Yonah, it could be that corn would be considered a mezonot. It could be that some other, quinoa, I don't know what else they use. No. In Mexico, they make corn. They use a lot of corn. So that's what's called, yeah. Cornflakes. Grits. Okay, whatever. Anything that's very commonly used. That's what Rabbeinu Yonah says. Okay, Amar Mor. We learned there's a hakoses et hachita mevarech alea bore pri adama. Vehatanya, didn't we learn bore mine zeraim, who creates seeds? Because you take the chita and you plant it again. Lo kasha. Ha Rabbi Yehuda, ha Rabbanan. The one that says bore mine zeraim is Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanan ve'al yirakot omer bore pri adama. Rabbi Yehuda omer borei minei deshaim. What do you see? What does it have to do with zeraim? Look in Rashi. Look in Rashi. Rabbi Yehuda. Ha dekatani borei minei zeraim. Rabbi Yehuda hi. Dekatani lekol min umin me'em berchato. Kede mefaresh lekamam bepirkin alibe. The Gemara explains later on that he has even more chilukim. Hilkach lirakot borei minei deshaim. For greens, deshaim. Lechitin, the zeraim, they knew that you plant them, borei minei zeraim. The Rabbanan, but according to the Chachamim, ben zeraim, ben yirakot, borei pri adama. V'lo ba'inan lechol min umin, me'em berchato. We didn't specify that much. It's an adama, but not much more than that. So when the Yehuda said in the Mishnah, borei minei deshaim, it was like, hey, I want more specific, and then go figure it out.
How come in the Hayatsi doesn't get more specific?
It is more specific.
I'm saying there's two times. So
Rashi says because there's three different categories. One is a zera. It's like a whole different thing. If you would go like to a science class, so they classify it in three different. It's all basically fruits. You don't have zeraim growing from trees.
not like there's small trees, big trees.
You don't have. He's not. It's in the fruit itself. In the fruit itself. Okay. Amar. Now there's another long famous Tosfot over here, Koses Tahita. Basically, Tosfot toys with the idea. We know that Ala Mechia is Me'en Shalosh. Me'en Shalosh is only said on the Perot of the Shivat Aminim. So Tosfot says Hakoses Tahita. Normally the Me'en Shalosh of Chita is Ala Mechia, but you're only making Ala Mechia when the Berachah Rishonah was Mizonot. What about koses tahita that I make borei pri adama? Should I make ala adama ve'ala perot afterwards? because it's from Shivat Aminim or not. Tosfot, Rabbeinu Tam wrote it in his Mahzor, Rabbeinu Tam erased it from his Mahzor. Not clear what it is. Tosfot comes up with this effect. He says, eat it during the meal. He's not sure. Okay. And that's affect stays la'alacha. Amar Mor, we learned. Hakoses et ha'ores.
Anybody who's going to be koses tachita is doing it as like a snack. Nobody's doing that.
That's a point that they make, by the way. Amar Mor, Hakoses. They explain, the Mefarshim, one second, there's one other thing I want to make a point. The Mefarshim explain that this is what we say, ki ma'aseh kedera. So orders, in order to be mizonot, has to be also like ma'aseh kedera. What does that mean? Ma'aseh kedera, it fuses into one porridge. So in order to be mizonot, it has to be that the rice sort of either was milled, that you took off part of it, so it's broken into pieces, like chilka targis tisni, right? Those are all broken. So too, the orders would have to either be broken or that it became like sticky a little bit. But it seems like if it was really, really perfectly fluffy and it's not stuck at all, like the way they want it to look like in the commercials, right? So then it shouldn't be, what's it called? It should be hadama, not mizonot. Some want to say that the white rice, once it's milled and they took off the outside, so that's already considered split. Or the pearl barley. Once they take off the outside, so it's already considered split and it becomes ma'aseh kedera. But it has to be, it can't be a whole. Someone learned bichlal that even if it's cooked, if it's totally whole, that's like, it's like that, super sugar crisp. The cereal, the puffed wheat cereals, they claim it's adama because it's not really milled. Each piece is separate. So the beracha is adama. Super sugar crisp, you come on to the question, what's the beracha harona? Is it ala mechia, ala adama, ala perot, or is it borei nefashot? And maybe you can't make a beracha harona because neither one covers the other. Borei nefashot does not cover ala mechia. Ala mechia doesn't cover borei nefashot.
So you're not allowed to eat super golden crisp?
Only fruit.
If you eat it, you can't make a beracha harona. I didn't say you can't eat it. Now, I agree with you. Plain hard orders. Plain hard orders is probably, they're not talking about that. In the Rambam, I was reading the Rambam today. In the Rambam, it actually sounds like koses et hachita is talking about whole cooked, not broken. That's what it sounds like. But I don't think Rashi doesn't learn like that. Anyway, Amar Mor, we said, hakoses et haores, if you chew the rice, mivarech ala borei pri adama. Tahano. Right now we're still not in our halacha because right now we're assuming that the beracha harona on orders is ala mechia. We don't hold like that, you know that. We hold that the beracha harona is amen. Orders mizonot nefashot. So we have to get to this though. Amar Mor hakoses et haores, if you chew rice, mevarech alav borei peri adama. You make adama. Tahano, you ground it. Afao, you baked it. Ubeshelon, you cooked it. אף על פי שהפירוסות קיימות, בתחילה מברך על הבורא למזונות, ובסוף ברכה חמן שלוש. והתניא לבסוף ולא כלום. Now, ולא כלום means nothing. Rashi says, ולא כלום, כלומר, אין טעון מברכות פירות ארץ ישראל ולא כלום. It doesn't need any of the Eretz Yisrael type berachot that we learn from Uberachtat Hashem Elokecha al haaretz hatova. None of those, right? Ela borei nefashot kekol midi delete mishivat aminim. I would explain slightly differently than Rashi likes explaining according to the maskana of Rav Ashi that he tries to make on everything. But originally, I don't know that they made a borei nefashot on everything. So the Gemara says, "Velo klum." Yes.
Why didn't we get the mazon because it's mezin? Went back to
Okay. So it's Obasov velo klum. It is Said. Amar Rav Sheshat, lo kashya. It's not a difficulty. Har Rabban Gamliel v'har Rabbanan. It's a machloket, Rabban Gamliel and Rabbanan. What's this machloket? The Tanya. Ze klal. This is the rule. Kol shu mishiv'at aminim. Anything from the shivat aminim, including dates, including figs, including grapes. Rabban Gamliel omer shalosh berachot. Rabban Gamliel says you have to make birkat hamazon. Birkat hamazon. V'chachamim omrim beracha achat me'en shalosh. Rabban Gamliel holds that ve'achalta v'savata is going on eretz chita, so you need the full birkat hamazon. And the Chachamim say no, eretz hifsika inyan, and it's only going on lechem. Eretz asher lo b'mizkun tochal ba lechem. So the Chachamim, they give it me'en shalosh. Uma'aseh, there was a story, listen to this story, great story. Rabban Gamliel ve'zekenim. Shayu mesubim ba'aliyah b'Yericho. They were sitting in an upstairs in Yericho. Ve'eviu lefneim kotbot. They brought them, dates. That's Yericho is Ir HaTemarim, right? Right over there. Ve'achlu, and they ate them. Ve'natan Rabban Gamliel reshut l'Rabbi Akiva levarech. He gave him permission, yani, to make zimun. Kafatz uberach Rabbi Akiva beracha hamein shalosh. He made ala mechya or ala ait, right? Amar le Rabban Gamliel, Akiva, ad matay ata machnis roshecha ben machloket. Who told you to stick your nose into this fight? So you listen to me. Amar le Rabbi Akiva, he was very smart. Amar le Rabbenu, afal pisha ata omer ken. Even though you say like this, ve'haverecha omrim ken, and your friends say like that, limatanu Rabbenu, you taught us, sheyachid ve'rabim, halacha kerabim. What do you want me to do? Right? Rabbi Akiva Omer, Rabbi Yehuda Omer Mishemo. Rabbi Yehuda redefines Rabban Gamliel's statement. He says, Kol shehu mishivat haminim. Anything that's from the shivat haminim, velo min dagan, but it's not a type of grain. Meaning, zechemen, devash, rimon, right? Gefen, or min dagan, velo asao pat. Or if it's a type of dagan, but you didn't make it into bread. For example, porridge, you have oatmeal or whatever. Rabban Gamliel omer shalosh berachot. Rabban Gamliel says, ala birkat hamazon. V'chachamim omrim, beracha hamein shalosh. Lo mishivat haminim, ve'lo min dagan, kegon pat ores ve'dohan, right? Rice and millet bread. Rabban Gamliel omer, beracha hamein shalosh. You make ala mechya. So according to Rabban Gamliel, ala mechya is only on rice. V'chachamim omrim velo klum. You don't make anything but in nefashot. So no problem. We have two braitot. One says that you make ala mechya. That's Rabban Gamliel. One says you make but in nefashot. That's the chachamim. Says the Gemara. Very nice, and it would be a problem. The halakha would stay the same. We all like chachamim, and we'll make berun fashot. The problem. B'mayu kimta Rabban Gamliel. You're going to tell me our beraita that said to make ala mechya is Rabban Gamliel. Ema seifa dereisha. The end of the dereisha doesn't work because we said if you had wheat, right? Hakosisa tahita mivarech. What if it doesn't matter? Tahanaf abashala. Bizman shapirusot kayamot hamotzi and birkat hamazon. Ena pirusot kayamot mizonot. Not according to Rabban Gamliel. According to Rabban Gamliel, even on porridge, even on burgol, you make birkat hamazon. So there's no way, kemat, that you could eat wheat besides for koses, that you're going to make, what's it called? That you're going to make ala mechya. So that braita cannot be Rabban Gamliel. Right? Ema seifa dereisha, emena perusot kayamot, betchila mevarech aleh borem min mezonot. Ulbasov mevarech aleh, beracha had me'en shalosh. Mani, who is it? Rabban Gamliel. Hashta akotbot ve'adaisa, on figs, on dates, on daisa. Omar Rabban Gamliel shalosh berachot. Emena pirusot kaimot was already bread just because it's a little mesh mi ba'aya. Ela pshita, the whole braita is Rabbanan. Ihachi kashet Rabbanan. In one place it says ala mechya, and in one place it says velo klum boren fashot. Says Gemara le'olam Rabbanan. V'tani gabe ores ulbasof enu mevarech alav velo klum. Correct the braita and change the ending to boren nefashot, and that's the maskana. Rice, ores, mezonot, nefashot. So far, so good. Amar Rava, hai rihata de haklae. This rihata is like a porridge. Chabitz kedera. Rihata hu chabitz kedera. Same thing. The hakla'eh is the farmers, right? The people in the villages. The mavshi be kimha, that they put a lot of flour in it. Mevarech boreh min mezonot. You make a mezonot. Mai ta'ama. Why? Smida ikar. The main thing is the flour. They put a lot of flour. They put a lot of flour in it. The Mehuza was the big city. They had sweeter taste buds. The mavshi be the lo mavshi be kimcha. They don't put so much flour in it. Mevarech alav she'akol niya bedvaro. Mai ta'ama. Duv sha'ikar. The main thing is the honey. Hadar amar Rava. Rava changed his mind. He said, Idi v'idi, boreh min mezonot. They both boreh min mezonot. The Ravu Shmuel, the Amri Tarvayu, Rav and Shmuel both say, Kol sheyesh bo mehamesh taminim, mevarechin aleav boreh min mezonot. And that one was not itotav. Doesn't need rov. Doesn't need rov. Whenever you have mizonot, whenever you have chamesh mine dagan in the item, we consider it mizonot. There are some exceptions. The exceptions are when it came lidabek, when you only put it in to hold it together. The Gemara says it on Lamed Tet somewhere. I think it's Lamed Tet. Okay. That's Rava. So you see that what was itotav from Rav and Shmuel? Only kol shehu. The kol sheyesh bo was never disproved. And the halakha is still like that. Hai habitza, the eat be perurim kazait. So now, what's a habitza? Look in Rashi, ke'en shlanikuk. Shemefarerin betocha ilfas lechem. Ilfas is a pot. You take bread, crumble it into the pot, and do some sort of cooking on it. I don't know what it's abika. Wow. It was bread. You crumble the bread into the pot. Tosafot says if you're crumbling the bread into the pot, then isn't that tahana afa'al b'shelah? That's the baraita we had before.
That's only when he started with wheat. Not when he
Pirush
started
Rashi, this is wheat.
No, it said pat you took.
I have bread. Every bread starts with wheat.
Right. But when you take the
What I started with?
It became bread.
It came bread. I have bread here.
Right. That's why it's different than hita. Hita started just wheat. Over here it started.
Nothing starts.
Starting point. You're starting
Moshe,
bread right now.
nothing starts bread. Everything starts wheat.
But once you made it.
What's the
bread, you
difference?
changed
Me. So the baker made it into bread. Somebody made it into bread. Went from wheat. Fine.
you
So the bread is hamotzi.
Yeah.
So I'm starting with hamotzi.
Yeah.
All right. Now either I cook it or I crumble it into the pot. What's the difference? It's the same thing. Meaning.
Different than hita that started at the man. This one started at Tamotzi.
Moshe, not afterwards. So chabitza de'it bepirurim. Pirush Rashi kemo shleinikuk ve'im tomar ve'hatanya le'el bezman she'apirusot kayamot. You make hamotzi. En apirusot kayamot lo yivarech alav hamotzi. Afagav de'it bekazait. And Rabbi Yosef. The truth, we're not ready for this tosu yet. Okay, so I don't know. Let's go. Amar Rabbi Yosef. Hai habitza. Hai habitza de'it bepirurim kazait. If the pieces are a kazait, betchila mevarech alav hamotzi lechem min haaretz. So then, in the beginning, you make a hamotzi, ulbasof mevarech alav shalosh berachot. Telet bepirurim kazait. If the pieces are not a kazait, betchila mevarech alav boreh mine mezonot, ulbasof beracha hame'en shalosh. So according to Rav Yosef, right? When you have this chabitza, depends how big the pieces inside are. If the pieces are kazait, you make hamotzi. If the pieces are less than kazait, you make mezonot and alamechia. It was mevatel the hashivut of the pot. It was mevatel the hashivut of the pot. Tosafot says, what do you mean? What? No. According to Rashi, you took bread. I don't know what sabika is, but you took bread and you crumbled it in the pot. And you're cooking it or frying it.
Breadcrumbs. Not breadcrumbs.
So Tosfot is bothered. You have a braita before that says Bisman Shaperusot Kayamot Mevarech Alav Hamotzi has nothing to do with a kazait or not. Even if it doesn't have a kazait, as long as the piece is whole, lechaora you make hamotzi. What's the difference? Who said? So Tosfot says the afagav diit bekazait, right? And a perusot lo yivarech even has kazait. So he says yesh lomar that Rav Yosef mefaresh le perusot kayamot is kazait, and a perusot kayamot no kazait, and Yerushalmi says like that. We'll see in a minute. Tosafot wants to say at the end of the Tosfot, lekach nirali habitza hainu pirurim hanedbakim yachad. It's connected together al yedei marak, al yedei halav, kemo habitza de tamre. It's like you took pieces of bread or breadcrumbs and you took a little bit of juice or something and you smashed it into a cake. But it wasn't cooked. Without cooking. There was a shinui, but without cooking. So that's what Tosfot says. Let's see. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Yosef, mina aminala. How do I know that it makes a difference if there's a kazayit or not? The Tanya we learned, Haya omed umakriv minaho birushalayim. If a person is in Yerushalayim bringing a korban minha, omer baruch shehiyanu v'kiyimanu v'gi'anu lazman hazeh. Why on earth is he making a shehiyanu? So Rashi says, it's talking about Yisrael. Haya Yisrael omed umakriv minachot v'netana lakohen laakriva. Omer baruch shehiyanu em lo hevi minachot ze yamim rabim. If you haven't brought a mincha for a long time, make a shehiyanu. Seems unusual. The Rambam learns the makriv mincha min hachadash techila. It's the first mincha he's bringing from the new crop, so it's the first mincha he's bringing. He makes shehiyanu. Netalan leochlan. If he took them to eat them. One second. There's another. That's not here. Rashi over here. Rashi Menachot says, "Kegon shelo hikriv kohen ze adayin mincha miyamav." He never brought a mincha. This kohen, first one, right? Or shehikriv mincha hadasha kegon mincha ta'omer. He's bringing a mincha from the wheat, so the kohen that brings the omer says a shehiyanu. Netalan leochlan, when he takes them to eat.